Once again, we find the internet is working for just a few moments, so we are going to take advantage of it and connect the amazing cities of Modi'in, Israel, and Franklin, North Carolina. Hanok, good afternoon. It's morning here. How are you doing there?
I'm doing fine. As you know, as we learned in what was that movie, The Truman Show? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and anything else.
Whatever else you need it to be.
It's the month of Tammuz. COVID-19 appears to be on its second wave. We had during the first wave. You know, what can I say?
Yeah, this is
It goes on.
This is kind of the disaster of the week show. You just one week to the next, you really do not know what's going on. Look, we have a lot to talk about the so-called peace plan and annexation, all that kind of stuff. I began my day with reading Jeremiah. It's easier for me to say it in Southern English there. But I have to admit that going through Isaiah, Jeremiah, there's so much of it that I just don't understand. And I don't think anybody really does in the end. But verses pop out at you. And this morning I read in chapter 17, here's what Hashem says: a curse on the person who trusts in humans, who relies on merely human strength, whose heart turns away from Hashem.
Wow.
Now, I got that on the heels of an email, and I won't say publicly where the email came from, but it was from Israel, and it said, we need to pray for the President of the United States that Israel would have favor or something with America. And then I read this verse. And so, I sent back a response of, I pray for the day that Israel says, I don't care what anyone says, because we understand what Hashem has said. Your response to that?
I have to tell you, Mike, you've said many things over the years that we've known each other that I've agreed with, and some things I haven't quite agreed with as much. This is in the area of, man, you hit it on the head. You nailed it. What I hear in the press here in Israel is, well, we have to move forward with declaring sovereignty, what the press calls annexation, in part, quote unquote, part of Judea and Samaria, because it's too good an offer. We have America's support. It's like America is with us. And first of all, I can challenge that and say that whatever it was that caused the Trump peace plan, quote unquote, the deal of the century to be announced, the Trump administration has got a lot of other priorities right now, number one. Number two, it has staggered me that Netanyahu, our prime minister, only first gave the army chief of staff maps of potential options this week. Now, I couldn't figure it out until I saw something in an article which jumped out at me that stated the reason this annexation, quote unquote, appears to be, kind of flying by the seat of the pants, is that according to this analyst, Jared Kushner never intended for Israel to unilaterally incorporate parts of Judea and Samaria, the alleged, quote unquote, West Bank. This was supposed to pressure the PA into negotiating, which is America's big thing. Now, once Israel does it, the PA has no leverage and no rationale to negotiate anything.
Mm.
Not that they would negotiate in any case.
Of course not.
So it appears that Netanyahu is mulling over various scenarios. It's kind of like a little bit, a littler bit, a littlest bit, or a partial bit, which is kind of like a definite maybe. I don't know what it means. It's all confused. And there is no clear rationale behind anything. And this idea of, well, we better take advantage of it because this is a great deal and America is behind it. I gotta say something. I love America. I love Americans. I'm not so sure the American government necessarily has always been our friend. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Having said that, the idea that Trump's reelection, which seems so certain just a few months ago, is no longer as certain, it appears. Now, I know some of our listeners are listening to this and they're probably, getting a mild stroke as I say that. I'm just, analyzing what appears on the horizon.
Yeah.
Now, it's a real questionable issue of where does America get to make this decision? Where does America have the authority to decide land given to the people of Israel by Hashem, by God himself?
That's what it comes down to in the end. Okay, is that when, and you and I have stood on Elon Moreh, the city there, the hilltop of Elon Moreh, the infamous verses of Genesis chapter 12, I will give you this land. He did not declare somebody else had any right to it, that someone else had anything to do with it or the decision. It was just, I'm going to give it to you and go to the rest of it and to your descendants. Period.
As an everlasting possession.
Yeah,
everlasting, everlasting.
So we have Belgium is voting now to side with the Palestinian state, which there is no Palestinian state to side with to begin with. I mean, that's what's kind of crazy to me. But and I know that things are changing at such a rapid pace today, it's very difficult to even think back to, wait a minute, what was happening in January of 2020? What was happening, a week ago? It's going at such an incredible pace right now. I'm actually looking at a book. I've been reading through a book. It's talking about the advances of computing today. In the book of Daniel, it says that knowledge shall increase. Well, wow. I mean, it's increasing. It's doubling in some ways. In that, and I don't have. There's different statistics depending on where you look at. But some are saying that information is doubling possibly in some areas every 2 hours. I mean, wow.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. So here's a fact that we need to go back to. That the things that are happening today, specifically America, but it's affecting the world. These things go back to the time frame, the COVID-19 bringing forth the protests and the riots and all these things. This all goes back to the time frame of the institution of this peace plan. Is there a connection?
Yeah. I don't get crazed when, people say, well, this situation, A, B, and C happening in Israel or elsewhere, isn't that, and then they connect it to a particular biblical verse. I think that's always a little sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a fact that every time America has tried to support the division of the land of Israel, it has not worked out well for the United States of America.
Oh yeah. I mean,
And I have to say something. You know, my livelihood depends on tourism. You know that. I'm a tour guide. It's no surprise. So I'm on my 4th month of no income, not being able to earn a single shekel. They're talking in July of reopening the airport, actually, because the Ramon Airport makes 2 international airports, but Ben Gurion, but only to countries with a controlled COVID-19 situation. Greece, Cyprus, Luxembourg, Iceland, whatever. America's not even on the list. My prayer is that things will get better in America, and Americans, hopefully there are people listening to this broadcast right now who are saying, I'm dying to get back to Israel.
oh,
Because one of the things that I've said in the last number of years in my 20 trips to America since August 2013, teaching about the restoration of all of Israel, I keep mentioning that the America that I grew up in doesn't exist any longer. And people poo-pooed it all the time. They said, well, you're just saying that because you're from New York. So, it's like, what do you know? I got to tell you something. I was watching a video, I'm not sure which city it was, where the crowd with sledgehammers were smashing in the window of a Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there no longer police? Where are the police? What are the police empowered to do anymore? Okay, here's another thing which is going to really, this is like drilling on a root canal right now. All my friends in America, they always gloat how they have a constitutional right to bear arms. And it's more than a few homes that I've been in, and I've been taken to the gun safe and showed everything. So where are all these people with weapons protecting their property? Or maybe they're just staying, in front of their house. I see the Walmart in Tampa. I've been to that Walmart. Ransacked. I've seen and heard of police ambushes. I mean, America is in a very difficult situation. Yes, you can say that, you've got crazy Antifa people, and you've got Marxists, and you've got anarchists, and you've got white supremacists. You've got like every sicko going around doing stuff. But there's also core issues that need to be dealt with. And, what it is, and we've said this many times in recordings, we need to be focused on where we need to be putting our efforts.
I think that's a major statement, Hanok, is that and I've said this, if you think what is happening is what is happening, you don't know what is happening. To look at all the things that are going on, as I'm reading through Jeremiah right now, and just a few days, with my reading schedule, I'll be in Jeremiah 51 and talking about Babylon. And I'm kind of interested to see what is there when I get there, because it appears that some of those verses are going to be very, very appropriate for the time that we're in. Back to, again, everything that is going on in the world is about the restoration. You mentioned that you haven't had a single tour. Okay? And if anyone's been to Israel, understanding that that means how many hotels. I mean, I lived through the Oslo War, the so-called Second Intifada after 2000, and I mean, I was in the what is now the Leonardo in Jerusalem, the
Yeah.
Sheraton at the time, and besides our tour group, there was 7 other people in the whole hotel. 7. To be the only tour bus on the whole Golan, that was surreal. But today, the thought that all those hotels, all the shops, all these different places that I have walked, there's nobody there.
No.
It is the land is once again becoming desolate because of the lack of people that are walking it.
Well, not desolate with the 9 million Israelis that are here.
Yeah, but I mean, who's
That's,
going
yeah.
to these different sites? How many of them are going out to these different places? How many of them are placing their feet on the land? See, I think that when we go to Israel, when I take a tour group to Israel and we walk the land, it's not just about us walking the land, it's about us walking the land. There's a spiritual aspect of the people of Ephraim, even though they may not even understand their Ephraim,
It's
walking
absolutely,
walking
it's
that land.
absolutely, it's funny, although our amazing experience in Israel is called the Connect to Israel Tour. There are several times, and right now is one of them, when I'm saying to myself, we should have called it the Reconnect to Israel Tour. But I'm going into Yerushalayim, Jerusalem next week, next Wednesday, a week from today, as a matter of fact. I've been a little hesitant to go in as infection rates have soared as people have begun, taking public transportation and other things. But I think things are okay enough. My plan is to go into the old city, and I'll take pictures, and I'll do a kind of like an on the spot things. It's a very difficult time for all of us. But I hope that all of our friends that are watching this are saving money on a weekly basis to go to Israel. It's interesting. All the Under Armour sales that I've participated in America over the years, including the famous Black Friday ones in California a few years back. I now look at all that, and even though I'm training at the gym 6 days a week, how many shirts do I possibly need? And that's a reminder to everyone out there to start looking around. This would be a pretty good time to start planning a yard sale. Use that money to get you to Israel.
Yeah. I think that there's going to be a time very soon when it opens. I've made the statement, you quoted me many times on this. It is not just that you need to see Israel, but Israel needs to see you. And I got it. I got it. The cities in the United States and various places, there's problems, there's difficulties. Yes, 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 yes. But we have to come to the place right now of deciding in our own minds a definition of one word. There's one word right now that each of us must come to the place of defining that word once and for all in our lives. The word, a very simple 4-letter word, home. When Naomi came to the line in the sand, she looked at Ruth, she looked at Orpah, And of course, this is not, this is in my windshield time moments of thinking through the whole thing. What was she really looking at them and asking? She looked at Ruth, Orpah, and she said, define for me today the word home. And both those
Wow.
women,
Wow.
both those women defined it. One would turn back, the other would go forward. One of them, and only one, would be the great grandmother of Melech David, King David. How we define the word home today may define our legacy tomorrow. Just saying.
Wow. Wow. That really says it all.
You said that backwards.
That says it all.
Okay. Well, hey, be safe. If Bezrat Hashem, God willing, you will be able to go to the city. Please, please give my regards to mutual friends that are there.
Of course.
Maybe, I would say for you to have an iced coffee, but you don't need caffeine. But please, when you see Simcha and Moshe, UD, all of those guys, give them my regards.
I hope they're there. I know that the Shorshim shop is open. I don't know about the others. I'm going to see, going to give them, as much little, support as I can. No, I don't drink iced coffee anymore. For those of you who saw me in America in January, I came at a very robust 225 pounds. The Pure Detox knocked off 18 of those. Training hard. I am now 191. That's 34 pounds lighter than I was in January. I have a shot at fitting into an El Al seat without squirming when the plane rides to America open up again.
There it is, the incredible shrinking Hanok. All right, brother. Hey, take care. Be safe.
Hello.
And,
Take care.
We'll talk next week.
Bye-bye.